How is everybody doing tonight? Welcome back to Boys in the Zone. Have a very special guest here tonight, StarGazer Sports Media. Star, how are you doing tonight?
Doing great, EJ. Glad that you invited me. You hit me up in my DM, said, "Hey, we should do a show." I was like, "Sure, let's absolutely do a show."
Yep.
Love collaborating with my fellow content creators. Obviously, I think you and I've been following each other for a while, so
hmm
I think it's great that you and I get to connect and talk some Cowboys football. And what's up to
Absolutely.
everybody in the chat? I can't see what y'all saying, but thank y'all
we
for
got we got my guy Steven here saying let's go get it. As you jump in, smash that like and subscribe button. Absolutely. If you're a Cowboys fan, hit that subscribe button or not. Watch the show before you do it and see what I'm about and see what Star
uh-huh.
is about. If you guys are on my side, please do go follow Star on her side, on her YouTube page. Help her grow as well. And if you're not following her on Twitter already, go hit that follow button on there as well, or X, whatever you call it. Anyways, my guy Jeff Hall is saying, "What up?" Steven, EJ, what's up? OG saying, "Yo." So first thing I want to jump into is that preseason game two. We saw a little bit more from Trey Lance. We saw a little bit more from these young wide receivers, and especially
hmm
we got to see our first, look at Jalen Tolbert as well, jumping in there for a couple drives.
Yep.
Did anything really stand out from you on the surface while watching that game? What surprised you? What were you looking at most as you were watching?
Yeah, I think mostly, who I was looking at. Obviously, Trey Lance. I think he was top of the list. Trey Lance, Deuce Vaughn. Um, Wanted to see if the receivers would have a better day. I think in game one, Flournoy struggled, and I think that was a bit of a shock. I
hmm
think most people just expected him to just play better. Um, so he struggled a bit. So I was watching that receiver group and watching also the defensive line. My eye, especially the defensive tackles, um, like people like Justin Rogers, Albert Huggins. My eyes were really on those guys because I wanted to see for Justin Rogers, wanted to see him continue to build. I really like Justin Rogers.
hmm
And I feel like he's flashed in this preseason. He's obviously a rookie, so he's going to take growing pains, but
Yeah.
I like his ability to stay on his feet, take on those double teams, shed blocks. He had about two tackles where it was his ability to shed blocks, get those offensive linemen off of him, and get to the running back. So that's if you're, and I know Zimmer's not asking the nose tackles to do that. It's mostly just hold up blocks. But
Yeah.
hey, if your nose tackle can not just be a what they call a trash can or or a pile of dirt, and they can
Yep.
actually help tackle, that's great. So those
Yeah.
were who I was really watching the most. Of course, Cooper, BB, Tyler Guyton, but I'm kind of already sold on them, so
Yeah.
I
Pencil
wasn't really
those guys in
watching
as
it.
starters.
Right, I wasn't even watching
Um,
them intently.
yeah, you brought up a name that I actually thought played really well after they were probably on the hot seat, which is Albert Huggins. Um, he had that mishap in practice where he pushed a Rams coach or staff member. I don't really know who he was, but
Yeah, yeah.
regardless, he played like his hair was on fire last preseason game, was all over the field, creating pressures, was helping in the run game. Just seemed like a guy that really knew that he had to capitalize on the moment. And I thought that that was really interesting that you brought him up because I was highlighting some of what I saw from him. I was like 68. I was like, isn't that same guy that did that thing in
Yeah,
practice? And I
yeah.
actually thought that I actually thought he was probably going to get cut after that, but he comes
I
out.
think,
I
yeah,
think a coach literally whispered in his ear, like, "Yo, you've got to show something here,"
yeah.
and he did. Yeah, Justin Rogers showed a little bit from that D tackle spot as well. He flashes, like you mentioned. Still not completely there where he makes you feel comfortable playing really as that second rotational D tackle, but a guy that you definitely want to stash on that practice squad if you can, and
hmm
maybe has the position to maybe make the 53 depending on how some other things shake out. But my guy Dylan brings up I think my boy Deuce has a real shot at making the cut. I do want to start with Deuce a little bit here because this was his debut for his 2024 season right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he ran really well through in between the tackles and on the outside,
Yep.
bouncing runs outside, making
Mm-hmm.
that wicked cut on that safety, I believe it was, and picking up
Yep.
extra yards. I thought that Deuce actually earned his roster spot in that game. Now, obviously, you want to see what he does against the Chargers, but
Yep.
it's looking like he's running back 3 for me. Do you feel the same?
Oh, absolutely. I'm queen of the Deuce fan club. I had Deuce rated as my number one running back coming out of the draft. Oh, yep, over B. John, over what's our guy, Jahmyr Gibbs. I sure did because I
Mm,
was like, the film to me was better. I'm like the only reason why I would have put those guys over Deuce was because Deuce is 5'5" and they're 5'9" and 6 foot. I don't know. They're
yeah, no,
taller than Deuce,
bigger.
obviously. So, but I stuck to my guns and I said, no, I'm gonna put Deuce first because I believed in him that much. And I've been the one online. Everybody's Deuce is gonna get cut. He's a little legs. He's not a real running back. Why did we get him? He's useless. And I continue to fight the good fight because I'm like, listen, Deuce. I know Deuce has the talent, and
Yeah,
not only did Deuce have the talent, but this guy played top talent in college. It's not like he played for, I don't know, East Carolina or whatever the hell, or where we got Marshawn Nealon and or Southern
yeah,
Mississippi. No. This guy
yeah, yeah,
played. He played Alabama. He played Bama. He played real NFL talent, basically.
yeah,
So I knew that he had the ability. It was just all about him getting the opportunity. We had seen him go off in preseason last year, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, we think we got one of those ones." And then he played like a couple of games where it felt like they actually had a game plan for him, like the Giants game and the Jets. And then after that, Deuce was an afterthought.
yeah.
Deuce was just thrown in at the end of games at garbage time. Our run scheme was terrible. So, his stats are horrible. Like, to be honest, his stats are not good for the 2023 season. But I knew that if you actually give him a role and give him a scheme, that he would arise to the occasion. And so I think he was able to do that, on Saturday, as you said, versus the Raiders, where he showed I'm a guy, I am that. I can be that spark plug. I can be that home run hitter, but you have to give me the opportunity. And you
Yeah.
can't just count me out because I'm 5'5". You know what I'm saying? So,
It well,
uh,
it and another thing though about Deuce is last year, whenever they tried to use him, it was against teams that had really good D lines, and you had no idea how your offensive line was meshing at that point. I think they
yeah,
figured that out a little bit later on in the season, where the offensive line was meshing better. But overall, you were truly kind of, what's our run scheme? How are we fitting with this new coach,
right, exactly.
Mike Sarilani, or what's his last name?
Solari, Mike
Solari, yeah,
Solari.
Solari,
Yeah.
and it was just it seemed so jumbled that you didn't have the right running power in the
Correct.
interior, and then you
Yep.
were trying to run him
Yep.
up the gut. That's not who he is. Utilize him on those, um, utilize him in like a Lance Dunbar kind of a role. And I
Yeah.
think now with Cooper Beebe, especially in that center position, and then you got Tyler Smith, you got Guyton,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then Zach Martin, I think is going to be better this year than last year, especially coming back
Mm-hmm.
with a full offseason and not having to deal with the contract negotiations and whatnot. I think your
Mm-hmm.
offensive line has a real potential to be actually better than last year in the run department.
Yeah.
You might take a step back a little bit in the pass department, but then you also have to factor in Terrence Steele was injured last year coming off that ACL. So
Yeah.
maybe if he takes a step up, if you truly think that the preseason is indicative of what's to come for Tyler Guyton, I think this
Yep.
offensive line is going to be really good, and we've got depth, and we've got a Zeke back to help in pass protection as well. So
Yep.
I'm actually very excited about that. I did want to bring up some comments back here. Well, let's bring up some Deuce love right here for our fans in here.
My guy Rico.
Deuce Juice,
Rico.
love that. I did want to bring up one. comment up here about Mozzie. Yeah, I think Mozzie will develop well having all these dogs around him. My only true concern on him are his size and weight. Seems like he's bringing that up a little bit. Obviously, didn't
Mm-hmm.
play that last game just due to that allergic reaction and whatnot. But I'm excited to
Mm-hmm.
see Mozzie in game 3 and really try to figure out this rotation with him and Jordan Phillips. If you're going to play those guys one after another, or if you during some downs you play those guys side by side. Uh,
Right.
Really interesting look if you do that because it gives you a lot of weight up that middle and allows your linebackers to stay clean. Are you
Yep.
interested in a package that's utilizing Marshawn Nealon, D Law, those two guys in the middle, and then Mike at linebacker? What would you think of that?
Yeah. I mean, hell yeah. I'm absolutely. I think, uh, going back to that comment that what's up, JV? That Mozzie is going to they're really surrounding him with some good guys. And I think when you take that pressure off of Mozzie and you just allow him to develop around these vets, obviously it's
Mm-hmm.
like you're the guy, right? You're likely gonna be a starter, but now you're surrounded by these guys who've like Jordan Phillips been in the league. Then you have, a lot of people are missing. I'm like,
Carl Davis
Car-
as well.
well, Carl Davis is cut. We cut him, but
We cut him today?
no, we cut him last week. Yeah, we cut Carl
No
Davis.
way, did we?
Yeah, we cut him. We cut him.
What?
Yeah, Carl
Okay,
Davis been
breaking news
waiting,
apparently.
but you got Jordan Phillips, you got Oso Digizua, next to him. So it's like these are guys, and then they said they're not done. They're going to add another defensive tackle. So when you think about the soil that Mozzie's going to be surrounded with now, it's like he's going to
Mm,
be able to grow because now it's like not all the pressure is on me. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be able to get a reprieve. Some people criticize
yeah.
Mozzie because of his conditioning. What you see now, which is beautiful, Mozzie's really working on that conditioning. After practice, him and Michael are running, or he's running with Micah, and then Osa joined him. So he's really doing things to get better, and he has gotten better. I think that's one thing that you can say. Last year, even at the beginning of training camp here, shoulder pads too high, his feet coming off the ground. But with shout out to Coach Jeff, the D line coach, he just has been really molding Mozzie and coaching him tough. And
Mm-hmm.
you can tell that that's kind of what Mozzie needed because he needs somebody to believe in him. And I think this coaching staff, Zimmer, Paul Gunther, Jeff Zoniga, what's my guy? Ellis, Greg Ellis.
Greg Ellis,
These are
yep.
guys that are really pouring into Mozzie. And you could see as camp went on, that technique really started to be there. Now, of course, when you're in games, sometimes you may revert back a little bit, but you can see that he's building off of that, and the coach is really believing in him. And then you got Micah, who's also believing in him as a leader. It's helping his confidence. What's up, Craven? That's my girl, Craven. We got
Hey
a show
Craven, what's up?
tomorrow.
What's up?
Star Checkers
Um,
Girl Talk Ball. But yeah, I'm really proud of the gains that Mozzie's been able to make, and I'm glad that the Cowboys are not putting it all on him because I
yeah.
think that would be a disaster. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, and another point, and I think this goes kind of under um, the wire a little bit with a lot of people, is they don't understand how important it is to have their defensive coordinator on the sideline during a game. I think Mike Zimmer getting the best out of his D line down there is going to go a long way as well in helping this run game overall in general.
Mm-hmm.
And you've
Yep.
already seen his players come to his not his defense but his praise and saying that how
Right.
smart he is as a defensive coordinator time and
Yep.
time again now. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
really excited about that aspect of him coming to the defense.
Yep.
Let's talk about real quick 3 standout players or bounce back players from this preseason game too. I'll let you start first, and
Mm-hmm.
then I'll roll after. Go ahead.
Okay, so number one, I would say Ryan Flournoy. I
Yep.
think he had a way better game. I think he led in yards, and maybe receptions. So he had a bounce back game.
Mm,
Obviously, had that touchdown. Helped Trey Lance throw his first touchdown as a Cowboy. So really like what Ryan Flournoy gave us. Of course, he's going to have to continue to develop and grow, but really like Ryan. He's got the ability, you know what I'm saying? You can see it. It's just that he's got to continue to build his confidence because and not get too ahead of himself in plays, because I think that's what's causing sometimes the drops. Not saying he's CD Lamb at all, but we know CD Lamb also, you know, as a rookie, a second year player, he had those issues, you know.
Yeah.
But you just couldn't, if you continue to play, you continue to grow. So I think he had a bounce back game. I think Albert Huggins had a bounce back game.
Yeah.
He clearly was getting pushed out of the gym. You know, the first game, it was bad. And some of those clips, people thought that was Mozzie. I'm like, no, that's not Mozzie. That's Albert Huggins, you know.
Yeah.
But we have to remember, I did say with Albert, I said, you know, his conditioning, we had just thrown him out there. I was like, he'd been on the couch. You know, he's been training, but he ain't been training in a football setting, so he needed to get back. But I think Albert Huggins had a good game. There were some times he still got push out blocks. But I think for the most part, you know, he was helping stop, you know, helping. You could see that. I could see on film what I saw from him last year, which is you are undersized, but you do have the ability to shed blocks. You can take on double teams, and you also have pass rush ability. And I think his pass rush ability really flashed.
Another thing about Albert
Huggins.
About Huggins is that he fits with that kind of old school Rod Marinelli kind of a defense, where it's kind of like you know, the step kids or whatever bring him in, like they don't do anything great, but they hustle and they have the high motor and they're willing to work. That's the stuff I want to see from these guys at the bottom of the depth chart to really make an impact on that. Because I'll tell you one thing is, whenever I was growing up and playing sports, a lot of the stuff came natural to me, but it always motivated me when I saw somebody else working hard that didn't gain it as quickly as me, because it would be like, man, all it takes is this guy working 24/7 to get past me. And so that helps me work more and stay motivated. So I actually really, really like that. I saw that in the game from him. But go on with your second or third person. Sorry,
my third, and then third person, I'll go ahead and give it to Trey Lance. You know what I'm saying? I think I actually gave Trey Lance, and I have not seen one person give him this grade, but I actually gave Trey Lance an A. You know what I'm saying? And last game I gave him a D, and then I rewatched the film and I said, okay, I can give you a C. You know, it wasn't horrible, but I think this week I gave him an A because I said, for the game plan that was constructed, I felt like he executed that game plan very well. Yes, there were some passes behind. Yes, there were some high passes, but I saw more passes on target. And I think that comes from, we were actually balanced. So we were able to run the ball, which means your play action is actually sucking those linebackers and stuff in. He had more time to throw the ball. And a lot of his guys, you know, he was hitting targets because we were doing easy stuff, rollouts. This guy's wide open. You know what I'm saying? We didn't ask him to do too much drop back, you know, scan the field, get the ball out. We didn't ask him to do that as much, and he really shined. And I said it, you know, with Trey Lance, he's not at the point yet in his career because of his experience or whatever, you know, where he's going to sit back there and read a defense and diagnose. No. That's not his thing. You know what I'm saying? That's not where he's at now. Doesn't mean he can't grow into that. But, you know, we made a game plan that was kind of similar to kind of the game plan that we ran when Dak was out in 2022. We're going to run the ball. We're going to get easy looks off play action. And Trey Lance did it. And I think he did a good job. He scored 2 touchdowns, and that was my goal for him. I said, Trey, can you score 1 touchdown? I was like, the bar is not high with Cooper Rush. He only averages about a touchdown a game. And I like Cooper Rush. This is not me crapping on. I'm just saying, like, the bar wasn't that high. And, you know, he didn't only score 1. He scored 2. So I was proud of Trey Lance.
Yeah, I think I gave Trey a C- that first game. The second game, I gave him just a flat B. I thought that in between the 20s, he was about the same as game 1. When it got into the red zone, though, I thought he was much better at being decisive and understanding what the receivers' routes were and what leverage they had on their routes. That fade ball or that corner ball, I thought that was a pretty good throw by him. Of course, Flournoy was wide open. It's pretty hard to miss that throw anyways. He absolutely killed Jones on that. But either way, and then the rushing touchdown as well, I thought that he played that really well. and
Mm-hmm.
he does show a nice ability to get out of tackles, and in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. So
Good
if you can
escapability.
utilize
Mm-hmm.
that a little bit more from Trey Lance, and this is if he can beat out Cooper Rush, but if he is your quarterback too, where he's not that emergency quarterback, you utilize him in the run game in the red zone. I think that's an under sold point by a lot of Cowboys fans is that
Yeah.
weapon, kind of that Taysom Hill mold. And I don't want to
Yeah.
take Dak off the field necessarily, but if you
Mm.
really need a big, like let's say a 2 point conversion, a big 2 point
Yep.
conversion, you're
Yep.
telling me an option with him and let's say Rico Dowdle back there isn't a better option than maybe Dak. Well, I won't say better because Dak is really good in the red zone, but
Yep.
I just think it's another look that you can have the defense have
I
to watch
think
film on.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Somebody had mentioned that they were like, maybe this guy may be better in a Taysom Hill role
Hmm.
because he does have a very good mobile ability and escapability. I mean, you can see it. He has that. You know what I'm saying? That's one of his strengths. And us calling the QB option, you could tell that he was confident. And I think he was confident because he was executing the game plan that he knew he could execute. you know, and
Yeah,
so I totally agree with that. And some people thought like, no, he's a quarterback. I'm like, listen, Trey Lance, in order to get to where he needs to be, like Mike McCarthy said himself, like he's got to be better in the drop back phase. The only way the kid's really going to get that is if some team takes a chance on him and says, "Hey, you're going to be our starter. We know you're going to have struggle, growing pains, but we're buying into you. We feel like you're our future. We
yeah,
thought San Fran was going to do that, but clearly not. So, I feel like that's where he's at. But if it could be a point where it's like, Trey, you do have this elite ability to run. I wouldn't be, totally mad at like a Taysom Hill role, here and there, if you can sprinkle him in and get him involved and, put him in position, where you don't have to put Dak in a position where he could get hurt.
hmm
However, because of the politics and things like here in
yeah, yeah,
Dallas, I think it would be a negative thing. I feel like people would, because it's like no one else really does that dual role type of quarterback thing besides the Saints. I don't think anybody else
yeah.
does that
Well,
where I gotta pull my franchise off the field so
I do
this guy can
think
run and
though,
play. But
if they did that, quite a few times throughout the season, that
yeah,
might be, and let's say that Dak does play on his contract right now, that might be indicative of what the Cowboys are really trying to do here. Because if they want to see Trey Lance in game, real action, that's probably a good zone to get him in because that's the hardest point of the game is in between or that 20 to the
in the
red
red
zone.
zone.
So
Yeah,
um, yeah, it's one of those things, man. Dak is good. You don't want to take him off the field, but you understand the side of having extra looks and having that. That's kind of why Sean Payton did it. Is just it made the defense have to study another thing each week.
each
Let me
week.
jump into my three standout players of the week, and I
Mm-hmm.
won't try to do the same ones as you because you took a lot of the ones I would have said, anyways. But first, I thought that Willie Harvey played much better
That's a good
in
one.
that linebacker
Mm-hmm.
role.
Yep.
I think that coverage wise, he was better. I think
Mm-hmm.
that he fit his run gaps a lot better. Tackling overall was pretty solid from all of the linebackers. I thought throughout the night.
Yeah.
But just him from that first game, I was like, man, it looks like this was the wrong move to pick him up. Um,
Yeah.
but he might fit into this wide receiver, a linebacker room. I know he's a littler guy, but you know, that's kind of what we might need because a lot of the other
Mm,
linebackers we have on our team are pretty big, traditional linebackers. So
that's true.
we'll see. I thought another guy that was actually, yeah, Maurice looked really good. Lou's takes and Lou, I think I actually subscribed to your Twitter today. I saw that Jay Tuck got on your show and he kind of gave you a shout out, so I went and followed you, man. Glad to see you in the chat as well. Um, now my mind is gone. I forgot the other player that I was gonna say. Flournoy,
got to
I thought
strengthen.
was really good. I think
Uh-huh.
another player that had a bounce back game would probably be Luke Schoonmaker. That first game, I didn't think that he
Luke
did
Schoolmaker,
anything.
he did.
That second game, he had some pretty big third down conversions and
He
grabs, and
did.
he was pretty good yards after the catch as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yes, he
thought that he
did.
did a good job at solidifying that he is tight end two on this team.
I
I'm
agree with
wondering
that.
if we possibly see only two traditional line or tight ends on this team, and then you use Hunter Lipke as kind of your tight end three. I don't know if they go that far, but I for sure think that
It's
Hunter Lipke is
definitely
going to
a
be playing some tight
possibility.
end. So
For
um,
sure.
we'll see
Mm-hmm.
with that. And then not really a bounce back player for me that I thought played well, but I just thought that he was another solid week for this guy was Julius Wood, the safety. Had a
Julius
really
Wood.
nice tackle for loss in this
Yeah.
game. He was solid just
Yep.
tackling in general and being where he was supposed to be in those zone schemes on the back end, but just a
Mm-hmm.
guy that's flashed overall. And even to that
Yes,
same,
period.
that same record, Keemon Hall was another guy that impressed me as well.
Kimon
Uh,
Hall, that's true.
he formerly of the 49ers, I believe, came over here, got the pick six, I believe, this
Yep.
past game, and he's looked really good in the training camp. Clips that I've seen. Obviously, I don't get
Right.
to watch all of them, but he's a guy that, he might be a sneaky addition to that cornerback room if he does make the roster. We'll see. But
Yep.
those were the guys that really stood out to me. Any of those guys that you want to touch on real quick?
I will say to talk about Schoon, I think Schoon, I agree totally with your analysis, and I think he really took a step forward. He only was targeted twice in the first game, but it was not good. One throw that Trey made, I feel like he could have caught it, but I do feel like Trey was also leading him out of bounds. And then there was another. Oh, then the other one was just that deep ball that Trey shouldn't have thrown in the first place because Luke was double covered. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah, yeah, in the first game.
I'm like, do you think Luke? Yeah, I'm like, do you think
Yeah.
Luke Schoonmaker is Mark Andrews? Like, what are we doing? But anyway, but I think in this game, you could really see his confidence rising because, like you said, he was able to convert and he was able to get yak. And people forget, like Schoon was putting in work with Dak as well. Schoon went to tight end university along with Dak and Jake Ferguson. So,
Mm-hmm.
he's obviously trying to build. And, I'm not out on Schoon. I already said Schoon was a very, very good
Blocker.
pass blocker, run blocker, period. Not
Yeah.
just for a tight end, but the guy can block. Like if you put extra weight on him, he probably could be transitioned to a offensive lineman like a Jason Peters. But I think, when you look at to me, he showed his athletic ability that I feel like wasn't really shown much last year at all.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, we can continue to give him those looks, those easy looks, those rollout looks, those leak out screens and stuff like that so that he can gain that confidence.
I'm slowly less impressed by his blocking and more impressed by his pass catching skills. And I wonder if he has more of like a Dalton Schultz arc to his game because Dalton Schultz was kind of dog eared out of Stanford as kind of a blocking guy as well. He came in the league, and then of course Blake Jarwin got hurt, and he kind of fills into that role and then wins the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm wondering if he kind of has that kind of an arc to him. Anyways, let's
Possible.
jump into this Tyler Guyton film. We're gonna check it
Yep.
out. It's gonna be highlighted here. I do have to shout out. Let me go back
Mosher is
really.
saying.
Yeah, Mosher actually. Yep, you're right.
I just follow
For
him. I can
all of
tell
the
because
clips.
yeah,
Yep.
he's
Did want to
excellent
shout
work.
him out, but we'll play these and break them down a little bit. I think this one is against Max Crosby. Gets good push. Yep, it is Max Crosby. One of the most impressive things that I've seen from Tyler Guyton just starting these past two games is
Uh-huh.
he's aggressive and he wants to work. I think that stuff
Yep.
cannot be undersold. It's one of those things where you want your offensive linemen to be nasty, but you
Uh-huh.
don't want them to get in trouble. I think he's been playing with a lot of confidence in what he can
Yep.
do as a player and not
Mm-hmm.
just extending over because there's guys that, they can't really block a lick and they're just trying to be
Yep.
aggressive and get on the field like that. That doesn't
Right.
show up with Tyler Guyton. He still has the problems with his hand placement, and you can
Yep.
see him kind of whiff with his hand sometimes, but he uses his length so well. He understands where
Yep.
he's supposed to be and if he can go get to the place he needs to be through his athleticism and kind of help
Yep.
his guard when need be. Um, really excited with Tyler Guyton. Go ahead and speak about what you've been seeing from him.
Yeah, I think with Tyler Guyton, one thing that I think a lot of people didn't give him credit for, I saw it on film in college, but many people didn't, is that the guy can run block and there is an aggressiveness and a nastiness to him.
Yeah.
Um, I think many people didn't believe that, because that was the one knock. He can't run block at all. But I remember when during the draft, when the scouts were coming in to talk to the draft show on DallasCowboys.com, they were like, why did y'all pick Tyler Guyton over what's the other guy's name? He went to the Bengals.
Big dude. I can't remember his name right
Yep,
now.
big deal. It's slipping my mind right
From
now, but
Georgia. Yeah, I can't remember.
from Georgia,
Marius
right?
Mims.
Mary
Okay.
Smith. So they were like, why did y'all pick him? They were like, because Tyler to us is more refined in the run game. And I don't think many people caught that, but I was like, yeah, I see it. But you can see here, very violent coming off the ball. And I feel like he's even more violent because it's like in college, you kind of sell those glimpses of him, like being tough. But I feel like since he got to the NFL, like he's trying to dirt guys. You know what I'm saying? Like he's
Yeah.
trying to kill guys. And I think what really makes him, like you said, is the confidence. Obviously, his feet are elite, and he's one of those guys that because of his feet and his length, he's just never out of position. You know what I'm saying? His issue is sometimes he lunges. You can see that here. Sometimes you're
Mm-hmm.
lunging. Sometimes you miss a little bit with your hands. But overall, one thing that's great about him is because of his size, like he literally is a tower, you have to kind of use technique on him. You know what I'm saying? You can't just think you're just gonna bull rush him and
Yeah.
you're gonna win that way, or you're just gonna speed rush at him and win that way. That's not gonna work. And I think, uh obviously our own guy Micah giving him the business, but because Micah now is like, use your moves on him, because a simple bull rush, a speed rush, is not going to work. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
same thing with Max Crosby. I think Max Crosby here thought, you're rookie, I'm gonna be able to handle you up. I don't have to pull out, my pass rush tools. And but there was a clip where him and Tyler kind of like, it's almost like they were like acknowledging each other and they kind of like head butted each other. Cause I think that Max Crosby was probably like, okay, like I guess you are a little bit better than what I expected. So that's what I
Yeah.
love from Tyler Guyton, and he's just a good kid. He works so hard. You know what I'm saying? He started working with Duke the day after the draft. But anyway, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and my guy Lou brings up this. He says, I think he relies too much on his great size, needs to get better at his hands, punch, etc. Yeah, I think you can tell that he has been working on his hands a lot with Duke because
Yeah,
all of
he
his
has.
college film, it was always this lunge every single time. He didn't work with
Yep.
independent hands at all.
Right.
And
Right.
every single time it was that wasted movement where he had to wind his arms up to block. Now he's getting in his set and pushing with the leverage under and getting a good pad. See, right there
Right.
is a prime
Keep it.
example of that.
Keep those hands inside. Keep those hands inside.
He is
Punch,
going to get
strike.
so much better throughout the season, just continuing to
Yep.
work and get under that. The thing is, whenever
Mm-hmm.
he meets a nuanced pass rusher, this is what I'm most worried about. When he meets a nuanced pass rusher who knows how to counter, that's where I think he's going to get in trouble because he's going to be
Yep.
expecting the move, and then he thinks, "Oh, I have him beat," and then this guy comes off and cross chops and spins and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it's going to exploit him a little bit. Now that's rookie learning curve. That's completely fine, and we
Right.
understand that
Right.
that's going to come with such a young guy and such a raw guy, really.
Yeah.
One of the things I did notice, he's not bad in line blocking. He shows a lot of aggressiveness. Whenever he pulls, he doesn't take the
Mm-hmm.
greatest angles. He needs to work on that, and I saw that during the college film, and he has improved
Yep.
on that a little bit as well.
Yep. I
Um,
saw that too.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be such a big difference playing with this offensive line. Tyler Smith to your
Right.
right side, like, are
Right.
you kidding me? You'll probably never have to
Mm-hmm.
help that guy. So it's going to
Exactly.
allow him to really stay honed in on his assignment and only have
Uh-huh.
to worry about if that guy disengages, that he communicates with Tyler, hey, stunt coming, and
Yep.
just get that feel. Because other than that, I'm super excited for the outlook of this offensive line, and especially when it comes
I
to Tyler
agree.
Guyton.
I agree
Um,
with that wholeheartedly.
let's jump into the Cooper Beebe film. We'll just stick it with the offensive lineman right now. and pull that up.
Cool.
Cooper Beebe working out of the middle right here. Um,
Hmm.
Man, I will tell you, Cooper
He's an
Beebe
animal.
climbing the pocket is going to be
it's,
nasty.
it's so
It,
good.
golly, I think that that's one
The
thing we miss so
push.
much with Biotish.
That's exactly what we were missing. Tyler Biotis, that's a people won't admit it, besides people who like, did you actually watch the all 22? A lot of the
Mm-hmm.
reason why we could not run our running scheme last year, power run scheme, is because Tyler Biotis he couldn't down block. He just he did not have the
Yep.
strength to really push guys off the line, let alone the second level mobility. And that's exactly what Cooper Beebe has. It's like, not only do I have the power to push this guy off, I also have the quickness to go ahead and get to the second level. I don't know if that guy, he should, because these are all his plays. He should have the play in here
Mm-hmm.
where he not only blocks a guy and then the linebacker comes in, he blocks a DT, throws him to the ground,
And
and
then the
then the
linebacker comes on the
line,
delayed
right?
blitz. Yep.
Like, this is a type of stuff. And this is what I was trying to tell people when everybody was saying, Brock Hoffman this and Brock Hoffman that. I'm like, listen, Cooper Beebe is teach tape guy. He's teach tape guy. Like, he's teaching classes for Duke Manyweather, because that's the type of caliber of offensive lineman he is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, he's a rookie and he's going to have growing pains. There's going to be times that he misses and stuff. But I'm like, I said was the most pro-ready guard coming out of the draft. And when you watch his film, I feel like you can see that, like, the things that he's doing, you really got to be and his father said it. There it is. His father said it. He's a film junkie. So, like, this guy just knows, he knows the game on a different level than I feel like just an ordinary rookie would know. You know what I'm saying? And he stayed in longer. He could have came out in, what was it, 2022, but he stayed an extra year just to continue to develop and refine his skills. So
sorry to cut you off. I just want to highlight this stuff right here. Is just, he's only been playing center 2 games thus far. He never played center. He was recruited as a defensive tackle, never played center at Kansas State. Okay, so understand how much of a learning curve this is to jump in at center, set up protection schemes. Also understand that you have a guy who has the jump on you because you're snapping the ball now. So you have to be cued in on your keys and everything like that. Watch how aware he is to disengage with his block and go pick up another block again. He's done this time and time again. Right here, boom, pushes that guy dirt, goes right there. This is the play you were talking about earlier. He has another one right after this, I believe. So he keeps his head on the swivel and understands what he's doing. Boom, picks up that linebacker again.
Right.
It's such a breath of fresh air when we see this stuff from our center, because this is reminiscent of Travis Frederick. And Travis Frederick wasn't even as powerful as I think Cooper Beebe is. So that's telling. Travis Frederick was one of those guys that really made his name based on how well he can climb and get to that second level and lay blocks and just athleticism. Cooper Beebe's strong, but he also has that side of his game to him as well. Where he can climb to that level, get the blocks on those linebackers, and really spring running backs for big gains.
Exactly. I mean, that's his specialty. And also he's great in space. I don't know if they had any clips of him getting out in space in this game, if they sent him out in space, but how you said with Tyler Guyton, sometimes he can miss his target. Cooper Beebe is not that guy. Like, that's why I'm like, he's a walking highlight reel, because he knows how to. Here's a good. Exactly.
Puts him in the dirt. This is like crazy.
He just knows what he's doing. He knows how to get out in space quickly. He knows how to get his target. He's a guy, I can hit 2 to 3 guys in space. Like, that's the ability that we have in him. That's what I was trying to get people to understand. People thought I was just hating. I'm like, listen, I'm not hating on Brock. I think Brock could be a starting center, and I do like Brock's toughness and everything. But I'm like, Brock is not doing this. It's like, it's one thing with the snaps, which everybody was criticizing, but it's another thing to have that amount of power and IQ at the center position.
And for all the talk about the snaps too, he has not had any errant snaps in preseason at all. So like, you can't even hold that against him now. I mean, he's just been that good down in, down
From
out.
what we've seen, yep.
It's been really good. Let's run with the Marshawn Nealon one because I think well, they're about the same.
Marshawn had a
That's all right.
good game too. I probably could have put him on my. Well, he only had like a couple of snaps, but to
Yeah, he
me,
was
he
I
had
think under 20 snaps again, but he's a guy that plays with that hair on fire, another motor guy.
right motor
And
guy.
right
Right,
now, he's not refined as a pass rusher. And he
that's
was
true.
he was a fringe 1-2 for me in the draft process. I really liked him.
Hmm.
I actually thought the Lions were going to pick him up, or one of those teams that just like gritty players.
Yep,
Um, I think that he would have been a really good fit if the Bears had a pick in that range to get him. But
yep,
um, I see the understanding right there. Like you can see how quickly he diagnoses what the quarterback's trying to do. That's just seeing a
exactly.
lot of football and
Yep,
understanding, okay, sometimes I have to do this. I have to go a little bit and then drop into coverage. Sometimes I
right,
have to understand it's not about screaming on the edge every time. It's also playing the run game. That
exactly.
is something you've desperately missed with Dante Fowler, with Dorrance Armstrong in the past.
Correct,
And
correct.
that was almost a pick right there. I don't know who that
Yeah,
was,
it was
but
almost that was a Harvey Willie Harvey Jr. that
really,
almost got
okay,
that
yeah, there
pick.
you go. I
Yeah,
didn't even see that play. I guess. Um,
yeah,
no, but in Lewis bringing this up, elite run fits already. Exactly. He
right.
understands how to set the edge and not give it
He
up just
unders
because he's
right.
quarterback chasing. And
Is exactly
Fowler and Armstrong, and this is one of the biggest problems I had with Dan Quinn. His utilization of stunts, sure, it can confuse young offensive linemen and whatnot, but when you get a good, solid offensive line that knows how to deal with stunts, it doesn't do anything except for take longer to get to the quarterback, and it hurts
exactly.
you in your run game if you're trying to do
It's
stunts because
right,
then your guys are
right.
not filling their run gaps. So
Their run gap. That's
yeah,
100%
go
true.
ahead and talk
Yeah.
about Marshawn Nealon, and I'll go ahead and get your word in.
Yeah, I think Mike, Marshawn exactly, and what you see him doing here, and I love this about him and Maris, like they play. This is just Zimmer's defense, but these guys actually executing Zimmer's defense of play your assignment.
Yes.
Don't chase plays. You know what I'm saying? Like play your assignment. You know you're supposed to be setting the edge. You're supposed to be crashing down. That's what you need to do. Period. You know what I'm saying? And what I also like you said, the diagnosing of plays, but he's also looking to get involved in plays. There was a
Hmm.
play like at the beginning where, guy got the quarterback. He's throwing the ball out, to the total other opposite end of the field. But Marshawn is still looking and he's still hustling. He's still
Hmm.
looking to go and try to make sure that that play is cleaned up. He's not just sitting there. Oh, play's not to me. I'm gonna just walk over here. So
Yeah.
that's what you have. Just a high motor, hard worker, wants to continue to stay in plays. He wants to stay
And
engaged in the game the whole time.
another
And
thing,
he's
though,
got a lot of pressures too. Anyway, go
so
ahead.
undersold because we have dealt with this in the past where, okay, this guy's a right side edge. He stays on the right
Mm-hmm.
side. Marshawn, that's not the case. He's moving right to left. It doesn't matter. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to move your real chess piece around, which is Micah Parsons. Where he can,
Right.
if the
They play by
offensive
rules.
tackle on the right side is too good, they don't like that matchup, kick Marshawn over there so he can, they'll probably, because that guy's a good guy, like let's say it's Trent Williams, they want to
Mm-hmm.
run behind that side anyways. Marshawn
Mm-hmm.
Nealon's a better run defender than Micah Parsons probably right now today. So that's even more
Prob-
advantageous in the run game, but it allows your
right.
your pass game or pass defense to get off because Micah's going against their lesser defensive tackle or offensive tackle, sorry. So
Exactly. A
and
game of matchups. A game of matchups is what it seems like
yeah.
Zimmer is going to be doing. I'm not just going to keep my guy locked on the left. You play left and you play right. And no, I'm going to move my guys around because that way you can't allow the offense to just easily get a key in on your guys. And that was
Hmm.
that was one of Dan Quinn's problem, as well as like you said, the stunts and allowing the players to call their own stunts.
Yeah.
Which that's a disaster.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
that was bad.
Yeah, it was
Um,
bad.
and it really severely hurt Micah because Micah's a guy, he doesn't need
Oh
stunts to
yeah.
win. And
No,
what
no,
it
no.
what
He
it
didn't.
does is it slows down. It takes Micah's best ability, which is his speed off the snap, and it
Yeah,
diminishes it because he's trying to run a stunt. Like, why? It's just
exactly.
counterintuitive.
You
But
didn't need it.
I will say though, another thing going back to that, you know, where you can put him right side, left side, it doesn't matter. You
Uh-huh.
also have that ability now with your corners too, because I don't think that uh, Diggs has to play on the right side or Bland has to play on the
Right.
right side or whatever it
You
is.
could
And then also, let's say that you want to run Bland in the slot sometimes, and you want to bring down one of your
I was
safeties to
just
help
gonna
over the
say
top.
that. Do
You want
that.
to walk up your linebackers in that A gap. You want to disguise stuffs. You want to run these
Mm-hmm.
corner blitzes. You want to put in a crazy pass rush with Osa, D Law inside, and then you got Micah on the outside, and then the other edge you can use whoever you want. Carl
Right.
Lawson for all I care. That's
Yep.
the type of versatility you have with this scheme. And then also, you've got some actual linebackers that if it does go wrong, they can clean it
Right.
up because they're cued in on
Right.
what they're supposed to do. Maurice Luafau has shown the ability to not only understand what his job is,
Absolutely.
but he's communicating from that linebacker spot now and pointing out things to other players. This tackle is a prime example. He understands what they're trying to do based on the alignment of the offensive line, understands where the gap is, probably shifting to that left side, goes down,
Yep.
makes a downfield tackle for loss, wraps up nicely. It's a breath of fresh air compared to that last year's rookie class because these guys have come in and they've played a lot of football and they understand
Right.
what they're supposed to be day one.
Exactly. And Maris, what I love so much, Maris was also one of my draft pick cats.
Mm,
And I'm like, what I love so much about Maris is that he's a guy that plays with his hair on fire. And I just love that he's always looking to hit. Like, even when,
mm-hmm.
maybe, the pass catcher, he's caught the ball and Maris is here. Maris is gonna collide into him. Just he wants players to know from the first snap, I'm here on the field.
Yeah.
So think twice about catching the ball and everything because I don't care where you are. I'm gonna find you, and I'm like that. I'm gonna hit
Yeah.
you. Period.
He's
And
solid in coverage too. I mean,
right, like he
goodness,
he
this kid has
covered.
impressed me a lot.
He did everything in Notre Dame. They had him
Yeah.
playing slot at Notre Dame, so it's like he can pretty much play everything. But his IQ is through the roof, and that's why you have him. This guy's a rookie, but he's able to set people up, tell them scoot up. Like this is things that we did not have last year. We
Yeah.
had linebackers that were just totally confused. You have Maris here. He knows his assignment. He knows how to not chase his plays. Like there's times you see him, it's like, oh Maris, why didn't you shoot this gap? You could have maybe made the play. It's like that wasn't my play to make. That was 55
Mm-hmm.
play to make. So even though there was a game, that's not on me. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's gotta do their assignment.
Yeah.
And I
Good
think that
point.
Maris is obviously a one that he clearly knows that. And when you come from a football program like Notre Dame and he was used the way he was used, it's just a huge benefit to the Dallas Cowboys. And you could just groom him this year and just let him just fly around because you do have Eric Kendricks. But in the future, this is a guy that can potentially be your green dot.
Yeah. You brought this guy up earlier, Greg Ellis, and what he means to being on this coaching staff and helping these young guys. You can just tell whenever they get those guys that were former players, and you can tell with the DB group with Al Harris,
Yeah,
it gets them going a little bit. I love to see
it
that.
does. It does get him
I
going.
wanted to highlight that, but I was trying to find that clip of Matt Crosby, kind of giving Tyler Guyton his here it is. Real recognize real is what it's
Yeah, yeah,
captioned
yeah. There
as.
we go. Yeah, real recognize real.
Hey, he's one of the best pass rushers in the league.
He is. He
Just
absolutely is.
being able to recognize, hey, Tyler Guyton might be one of those ones.
One of those
I'm
ones,
excited,
man.
man.
Yeah.
Um,
It's,
let's talk about a little bit, and we'll bring us back on the big screen. Let's talk a little bit
mhm.
about this CD contract, and then we'll round out the show with three players that really need to have a better game preseason 3 to make the roster. The
Yeah.
CD contract, obviously, it's gone on way longer than anybody probably expected. Um, I got a little text the other day, and it was kind of like maybe they met or something. I didn't know. I thought they were coming with a bigger offer, but I didn't really know what was going on. Apparently,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't
Mm-hmm.
get done regardless. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the
Yes.
things that it's really held me up and kept me in kind of this despondency with this front office is the fact
Mm-hmm.
that we have seen this already. We've done this year after year. Like, what are we doing? We understand how good this guy is. He's improved his yards per game by at least 10 yards per game each and every single year. And last year he increased that by plus 20 yards per game than the year prior. So this guy is a guy that not only comes in, works, shows continual improvement, but also wants to be paid according to what he should be paid, amongst the
Mm-hmm.
best in the league. He's one of the best in the league. Pay the man, especially on these first contracts that they get paid, off their rookie deals. That's to set up their family. Like, come on, we need to
Right.
get better at getting these things done.
Right.
And I just don't understand it. But CeeDee Lamb, anyways, post a Spider-Man meme, whatever it is, on
Uh-huh.
his Instagram. I believe it was
Yep.
his Instagram,
Yep. It's
about
Instagram.
basically Peter Parker, and he's putting on the Venom mask. I think it was Spider-Man 3.
Yeah,
Those
Spider-Man
those ones
3.
we probably grew up with.
Yeah, right. That's what I
But
consider the real Spider-Man. But people
yeah, the
tell me
OGs.
those are not like the comics. I'm like, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah,
That's what I grew
whatever.
up on. But anyway,
The Tobey
that's what I grew
Maguire
up on.
ones are always my Spider-Man. So hey,
Exactly. That's
um,
what I consider.
what
But
do you
anyway,
read in on that post, if anything, and should this deal get done by the end of the week?
I wish I'm holding. Shout out to my guy, Nix. I'm holding Nix because Nix told me that what did he say? He told me that CeeDee Lamb is gonna be signed by tomorrow. So
Hey, let's
we'll
hope.
see. Yeah, let's hope. We'll see if that happens. Um, what I make of it is that the Cowboys are doing what they always do, which is
Mm-hmm.
during contract time, they start. Now, what's different, not to get out of a tangent, but they've kept Dak still closed mouth. They've kept it in very, we're having good talks, it's positive, but like no number leaks and stuff like that, like they did the first go around when
Mm-hmm.
Dak was trying to get his extension. But what they're the same play that they ran on Dak, they're running on CD. So what do? Let me leak we offered him, this much
Yeah.
money. But you're not telling us guaranteed or the years or the cash flow. You're not telling us anything. You're just saying, I offered him right under Justin Jefferson and right above AJ Brown, because
Yeah.
they're trying to get people to believe that he's the villain, like,
And
you're greedy.
I've
Go
never
ahead.
understood that stuff. It's like, you're the one paying him. Why would I get mad? I don't care if you pay him 100 million a year. It's your money as long as he's good. I don't really
Right.
care.
Because
So
it works.
this
It
isn't gonna
works
make
on
me feel
Cowboys
like
fans.
he's a villain for wanting money. Like, every single guy that's good in the NFL is gonna get paid, regardless if it's from the team
Right.
that drafted them or another
Or
team. That's
somewhere
just,
else.
yeah,
That's how it
exactly.
works.
So I really don't care. Pay him 36 million, make him the highest paid. It doesn't matter to
Right.
me, but I'm not gonna think he's the villain just because you leak, oh, we offered him 33,
Right.
33.5.
But
Who cares?
that's because you and I have sense. The average Cowboy fans, they believe that like these players these billionaires have convinced them that these millionaires are greedy. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? They're trying to stretch the team and how we gonna win a Super Bowl if we gotta pay this guy this much. This guy, it's the same song and dance. And I think, and Jerry did it again today. He didn't say numbers, but he said, we really want CD and we
Mhm.
we we if we didn't want him, we wouldn't have offered him the contract that we offered him.
Yeah.
Okay, what contract did you offer him, Jerry? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the type of things that they do. So I think CD is basically like, listen, if y'all want to make me the bad guy, try to paint me like Peter, he was a good guy, but then he put on the Venom suit and he felt different. He's like, if y'all want to make me the
Mhm.
villain, I'll go ahead and be the villain. But regardless, Jerry Jones is going to pay me my money and he's going to pay me what I deserve.
Yeah.
And I think CD he doesn't have to eclipse Justin Jefferson. He just wants to be at least the second highest paid. Get it done. I heard from Ian Rappaport today, like maybe they're waiting on Ayuk. I don't really see that because to me, Ayuk and CD are in two totally different stratospheres. So I'm like, Ayuk's not going to eclipse. I mean,
Yeah.
he could, but I don't think Ayuk's going to eclipse
Well,
Justin
they're already
Jefferson.
paying so many other players, you know what I mean? So I don't,
Yeah,
who knows? I mean,
like who
supposedly they have
knows?
a deal along with with the Steelers for Ayuk, so we'll see. But and I know that I think did they draft Ricky Pearsall? I know he hasn't really
Right.
looked good
Yeah.
in camp, so
No, he
maybe
is
that gives
not.
him a little bit of
They
uh,
said Jordan Schultz said today that pretty much they've worked out a deal, but there's some small details that have to get approved
mhm.
by the higher up. So maybe Ayuk is staying in 49er land. I don't think he's going to get paid more than Justin. That would be crazy if the 49ers pay him that much. I think at
I
the best
I
he
hope
should
they
get.
pay him that much. I don't care.
Yeah, like who cares? But I'm like, at the best he should get. He said, why wait for another wide receiver? Well,
Yeah.
Ian Rappaport was saying that because they're saying that the wide receivers, basically, CD wants to be in the league, the second highest paid wide receiver. He doesn't, what the way Ian was saying it is like
Hmm.
it's going to be bad deal for him if he signs before Ayuk, and then Ayuk comes out and he's now getting paid Justin Jefferson money. But I'm like, I
Well,
guess I don't know.
I
It
think
just needs
that
to get done. It's taking too
also
long.
another thing though that with these contracts and how they roll around, like Deshaun Watson got his fully guaranteed, right? And then
Yeah, he
everybody,
did.
whenever that broke, everybody was like, "Oh God, every quarterback's gonna want to come and get fully guaranteed now." But then there was a couple quarterbacks
Didn't.
that it came through, and they didn't get that contract,
They
which
didn't.
set it
Right.
back. It took it a step back. And so if Brandon Ayuk gets a contract and it says, "Okay, you're somewhere in the middle of these guys," obviously CD is better than Brandon Ayuk. Would I would say
Mhm.
probably at least top three. And
Right, right.
depending on who you ask, he could be top one.
Mhm.
It doesn't really matter.
Yep,
But
yep,
I think that this is what the Joneses see is okay. You're somewhere in between these two guys. Let's
right.
get you right here, right under this guy that was in your same draft class, but does have better stats so far if he didn't get injured last season.
Yep,
Um, and I think that CD would understand. Okay, yeah, that's fine with me. Situations
exactly.
obviously weren't the same. Jay Jettis came in, and I don't even think that he played with Diggs. If he did, it was maybe 1 year, and then they traded him.
Yeah,
But
no, yeah, I don't think he played with Diggs.
CD
He
had
played
to
with
play with
the other
share the
guy.
pie with Amari, with Gallup, with Dalton Schultz at that time, with a few other
Yeah,
players. So
yeah,
different scenarios, and then also you got to look at different schemes in general. But I like how
yep.
you put it. Don't paint me as the bad guy, but if you want to make me the bad guy, I'll gladly wear the
I'll
mask.
gladly take that role
Yeah,
because, and like you said, these, and Dak said it himself. These first contracts after the rookie contract are personal
yeah,
because I'm trying to set up my family, and I think CD is just frustrating. It is frustrating. You clearly are better than majority of people at your position, your top three at the very least. And this is what you're having to go through to get your money. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of ridiculous.
yeah.
But this is the Cowboys way. Jane Slater pointed it out. I had figured it out before, but they were like, you remember they didn't pay Zeke till the week before the season started when
Mm.
Zeke was due
Was
in
it that long?
2019. Yep. I didn't know. I looked it up and I found this
Crazy.
out like a couple of weeks ago, but I was like, yeah, these people really waited a week before the season started to
Yeah.
pay Zeke. So this could come to a point where we're waiting the week before. Now, of course, they're saying everybody thinks that would be ridiculous, and the insiders are saying it's definitely going to be done way before week one. I'm like, y'all been saying this definitely, and this is going to happen all
Hmm.
off season. I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
feel like no one really has a real beat on any of these contracts that the Cowboys are doing. I don't think
yeah,
anybody knows what's really happening. They're just getting leaks here and there, but it's like we won't know who's getting signed until we get that notification, on our
yeah.
phones finally that he's been extended.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully it's soon. And I wonder how the Dak contract plays into this as well, because obviously, if CD's like, okay, I want to stay with his team, I want to sign up for the long haul,
Right,
but
long haul.
where is Dak at? Like, if Dak's not my quarterback, that severely hurts me and my ability to catch the ball.
Right.
I mean, you have to have a
It
thrower of the
severely
football,
hurts
and
him. Yep.
Lance's best strength is running the football, so that's not an
Exactly.
advantageous situation for
For
CD
me,
either.
you
So
completely have to alter. If you go with Trey Lance, like say hypothetically, by Dak, we hate you. We don't want you anymore. You're washed, whatever.
mm,
And we go with Trey Lance. that completely, like you said, that changes the offense completely.
Yeah.
So that means my numbers, last year CD, if we had to target him the first half of the season, he might have could eclipse Megatron's record. Now you're gonna make, and we know how the Cowboys do. It doesn't matter the reasoning. Yeah. If your numbers go down, if you want another contract, better believe they're gonna be like, well, you have less yards, you have less targets, you had less this. They're not gonna bring up, but you changed my quarterback.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, nope, look at the production. All less.
And another thing is, like, let's say the Cowboys roll through this season, they go 9-8, right, with Dak. I doubt that would happen, but let's just say they let go of Mike McCarthy, they let go of Dak, and then they roll with Trey Lance, and you have CD on his contract or whatever. That is Trey Lance barely seeing any football time and then relearning an entire new offense. So it's like,
thank you, EJ. I don't think anybody pointed that out. Like,
so
it took Trey Lance 2 years to just kind of get comfortable in this offense. He clearly never could learn Shanahan's offense. Now you're gonna bring in a whole new coach where he's gonna have to learn his whole offense and his way of mechanics. It's yeah. And I think CD, they keep saying Dak and CD's contract is tied together. Basically, if one gets signed, the other one should get signed in a couple of hours. And I mean, it really only makes sense. And again, with CD, another reason why I feel like Justin Jefferson went to that 35 mil mark is because, I'm sure he likes JJ McCarthy, but he don't know what JJ McCarthy have. And now JJ McCarthy's hurt. He's out for his rookie season. So now I got to play with Sam Darnold. We know who Sam Darnold is.
Yeah.
We know who Sam Darnold is. So that's probably why he took it, because he's like, there's no surety here. So you're going to have to pay me more. I feel like CD is the same way. He's like, I don't want to sign here. Think of Devontae Adams in the Raiders. Devontae Adams goes to the Raiders to play with his buddy, his college buddy, Derek Carr. They get rid of Derek Carr the same year.
Yeah.
And look at his situation now. Now he wants to be traded again because it's like, y'all lied to me. Y'all brought me here and then got rid of my guy in the same year. Aaron Rodgers, they got rid of Devontae Adams when he signed that extension. A-Rod was like, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think Dak and CD don't want to be in that situation where it's like, oh, you signed me, but now you screwed me. And now I'm tied to this franchise for the next 5 years. So,
yeah. If both of them end up not signing and they both join another team, I'll still root for them on the side. And, but I'll remain a Cowboys fan, but I'll root for Dak and CD on another team. That would actually be pretty comical, just sticking it to the
It'll be hilarious. We'll be laughing stock. But yes, of course, I'll root for him. But go ahead.
Final segment, 3 players that really need to have a rebound game this final game against the Chargers. It's at AT&T Stadium, so hopefully they get a little bit of a home crowd atmosphere and they can feel a little bit more comfortable. But who are your 3 players that desperately need to have better games?
Let me think. To make this roster, well, I'll say Eric Scott. You had a terrible first game, and the second game, you was like nowhere to be found. I really feel like he is on the outs if he doesn't have some type of incredible game this upcoming game that we have. I think another person, I would say Willie Harvey Jr. Because even though he had a better game, I think somebody like Buddy Johnson may be beating you out right now. Yeah, and I think that if you
Virgil, I think his name is as well,
and Nick Vigil,
Vigil,
because this is guys that Zim and Gunther brought in because this is their guy. So I feel like Willie Harvey Jr., you're a USFL guy. I mean, a UFL guy. You're really gonna have to. You got to do better. You did better last game, but like the missing tackles, like that's got to stop. And
I like that one because, and another thing is it seems like Mike Zimmer being that he's willing to move Micah back and play some linebackers. So if that is the case, then they maybe feel like they can save one of those linebacker positions. You really have to stand out amongst
you got
kind of a crowded bottom room of the depth chart. Yeah,
right, because you already know Maris, Damone, Overshown, Kendricks are locks, and then Micah's a lock. So there's
Mhm.
room for like one more guy. So
Yeah.
he's he's gonna have to play better. And wide receiver, I think Flournoy,
You think has to
even
have
though
a better.
Flournoy, I think he had a good game. But I think, if he wants to actually, and they probably, because he's a draft pick, they may just give him a fake injury, um, and keep him
You
on the
gotta love those
roster.
fake injuries.
Those fake injuries. Oh, he's hurt. He's out for a season. It's like,
It's like,
okay.
yeah, okay,
But
you're done at the third quarter. You're gonna act like you pulled a hammy, okay? That's
exactly, like they
you didn't
always
play
do
good
that.
enough this
So,
game.
but I think
Yeah,
if
I
he
love
actually
that.
wants to make it, because I mean the room is stacked.
Yeah,
CD, Jalen Tolbert, Cooks,
Cooks,
Turpin. So
Turpin,
you
those are
already know those
locks.
are roster locks.
Yeah,
And so after that,
I personally think
Brooks,
Jalen Brooks is a lock.
I think so too. So now you're like,
It's
I
between
don't
him and
know.
really it's between him and Cropper. I actually have liked what I've seen from I think his name's Kelvin Harmon. Um, who's
Kelvin
played
Harmon, he's had a
some ball
great
as well.
game.
Yeah, I
He's
think
had
he's
two
he's
great
stacked some
games.
two games. So I like your picks. I actually
Yep.
instead of Flournoy, I actually think Cropper, Jalen Cropper
Oh
has
yeah,
had
he
the
was.
fumbles. He had just he
He's
had some
definitely.
drops. He's got to, for a guy that stood out in training camp, he has got to string together, or not string together. There's only one game left. He
He's
has
got to
got
play
to put
lights out.
together a really good game and
Yeah.
truthfully lead the team in yards, because not only does he stand out in training camp and has sticky hands in training camp, but the biggest downfall of that was he was playing in CD's position most of the time. So
Hmm.
with once you get CD back, do you want that redundancy? Probably not.
No. Yeah.
And that's the thing with the whole, Royce Freeman and Zeke discussion a lot of people are having on Twitter, is they're kind of redundant at that point. So Cropper has to have a big game, and he has to be willing to show that he can be utilized on special teams as well, because that's where
Yep.
that bottom of the depth chart for linebackers, wide receivers, cornerbacks,
That's
that's
where
where
you're
it's
gonna make
where you're going to earn your spot. Um,
right.
my biggest guy that has to have a good game, I don't know that I would be tied to this guy, even though he was a draft pick last year, is Junior Feihoku. He's been bad from that three tech position. Even on the outside playing edge, I think he
Hasn't
looks like.
been great. He just doesn't have the. You know what I think his issue is? I think he got too heavy. I think
That's what I
he
was
was
about to
expecting
say.
to play. Yeah, he's expecting to play inside. But Zim said quickly after that game one, he said he is not a he is not a three tech. So
Yeah.
we got to put him on the edge. But anyway,
And
keep going.
that's where I would almost call up your good old buddy Dan Quinn and be like, "Hey, this is one of your guys. Would you be interested? Maybe you have somebody that's kind of fallen out of favor with you. We've seen that
That's a good
last
point.
2 years. You got
Mm-hmm.
Kelvin Joseph out of here for Noah Igbenogany, and then you
Yep.
just traded for Andrew Booth for Nashawn Wright.
Right.
Is there
Right.
the capability of flipping a defensive tackle slash edge in Junior Feihoku for somebody on the Commanders?
Yeah.
Um, and that's not even my own thoughts right there. That was brought up by Zach Wilchuk. But I think that's a good thought, worth bringing up. And
Yeah. That's a good
he
thought.
desperately needs better play, consistently down in, down out, filling your run gaps. You cannot miss tackles. He's missed so many tackles. I can't even. It's nauseating to watch. Um, and he was a fourth
Oh my
rounder, so
god.
you got to be better than that.
Yeah.
Um, but another guy that I think personally needs to have, I won't say a bounce back game, but just for my own, um, you know,
Sandy.
sanity and peace, I'm
Hmm.
actually going to put Brandon Aubrey on there, but not for kicking. It's strictly for the kickoff rule, because he kicked one out of bounds, didn't keep it in the zone. I'm wondering if
Oh.
they need to try out Brian Anger at that position, because he's better at placing kicks probably as a punter. He's
Mm.
done kickoffs in the past with Houston. It's one of those
That's
things
a
I
good
would
point.
definitely test that out, because whenever you allow the offense to start at the 40, that's huge. Like that's almost a guaranteed 3 points for the opposing
You're
offense.
right on that. Wow, I
So
didn't really think about
I
that, but
really want to see him do better with the kickoffs, because it's been a little bit, oh gosh, that one
a
almost
little
went out.
bit,
This one almost,
yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, as far as place kicking, field goals and stuff, dude's a beast.
Amazing.
So yeah, and
Amazing.
he's a
Yeah.
wet. I mean, I posted on Twitter. I think he might be the difference between 2-3 wins this season, strictly because he's that good.
He's that good.
Um,
Correct. Hmm.
so yeah, any final words? And guys, if you are on Star side or my side, please do cross channels. Go subscribe if you like the content to one another and stuff. Like the videos. Appreciate you
Absolutely.
guys being in here rocking with us. The chat was a really good time reading some of you guys' comments and whatnot. Any final closing statements for you, Star?
Um, yeah, I would just say, well, first of all, thank you so much for bringing me on your platform. I think this was great, and hopefully
Absolutely.
this is not, the last time that we collab. So I really appreciate that. I will say, um, lastly, we're getting down to the wire. I really cuts come. I think they have to trim down to the 53 August 27th or August 28th.
Hmm.
That's next week, so like Monday or Tuesday. So, these cuts are gonna start rolling in. They already cut Sheldrick red wine today. So
Yep.
just stay in tune with that Cowboys Nation of, there may be some surprises, there may be some guys because we do have some deep rooms, fortunately, a lot of these guys we're going to be able to bring back. Thank you, Stephen Mack. Of course, these guys we're going to be able to bring back on the practice squad, but there may be ones that get away that were like, damn, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um,
We don't
and then
want
also,
the thing is we've lost Isaiah Land, we've lost John Ridgway in the past because we couldn't retain
bring
them
them
and we
back.
thought that we could stash them on the practice squad. I don't know if you guys remember, but they actually changed that rule because you used to be able to protect 4 practice squad players. Now you can't protect any. So
Man,
it's one of those things, man. You have to be cognizant of this guy. He's one of the guys we like, but he's less likely to be poached from another team. So let's try to squeeze this guy in. And also another thing that a lot of people don't realize with cut day is if there's 2 guys that are like this, but one
mm-hmm.
has a contract where it associates 3 million in dead money, they're gonna keep
Mm-hmm.
this guy. So you got to look
Right.
at that stuff versus the 400,000 or whatever dead money you'd attribute with this
Right.
guy.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And also, I would like to, let the chat know I am doing a Stargazer sweepstakes where I am giving away either college football 25, Madden 25, or for people who don't play video games like I do, a $75 Visa gift card. I am giving that out. Just the information is on my Twitter page, which is at the THE Gazer, but instead of a E in Gazer, it's a 3, and then there's 2 R's at the end. And so y'all can go there. You can also just go to my YouTube. It's a short where I have the instructions on what you need to do and send it to my email. But it really is, you get an entry by just subscribing, screenshotting it, and sending it to my email, which is stargazing sports media at gmail.com. So yes, wanted to let people know that I am doing that. I'm on the road to 300 subs before the season starts. That's
Hey,
my
there we
final
go.
words.
Hey, I want us to hold each other accountable. We're gonna finish this season with 500 subscribers on YouTube, both of
Let's
us.
do it. Let's
Let's
do it.
do it.
That's what I'm
Um,
working on. I'm like, help me, please subscribe.
for sure. It's hard on the YouTube game.
It's hard.
I usually have more people in my chat. But I changed my Twitter profile and now
Yeah,
it's not premium now, I guess. My profile
yeah,
picture I got changed. So now it didn't even let me stream on Twitter side tonight. So that kind of sucks. But
yeah.
anyways, such a pleasure to have you, Star. We're gonna definitely do it again. I'm gonna help on your show, you help on mine, whatever.
Absolutely.
We'll do game breakdowns and whatnot. It was such a fun time. Your chat was live tonight. I appreciate everybody coming in, sharing the fire emojis, everything, and great football knowledge from everybody as well. I think that
Yep.
Cowboys Nation is one of those fan groups that are just always hungry for more content and
Yep.
more
Yep.
knowledge and just conversing one another. So gotta show my support for the chat as well because that's what really makes it fun streaming anyways. So anyways,
Absolutely.
if it is your first time, like I said, hit that like, hit the subscribe button, set the notification bell on both of our channels, and I'll catch you next week. Peace.
Peace.
forget what you got. None of it matters until you don't work from the top. I'm talking non-stop squad. They've been down with me for years, and none of them asking for squat. Fight out of the gutter.